Oh, I guess I should hit play on this. I don't even know how to do this anymore, Jason. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Stone Genius Podcast. My name's Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. You know me. I'm often stoned. I'm always a genius. We got a great show for you today. I really got to edit that because I'm not sure if this show is going to be greater yet, but we got Jason. What's up, Jason? How you doing?
Hey, Ro, how you doing?
Listen to the crowd go crazy. Man, it has been too long. We do communicate a lot, but I know that I probably haven't done a good job of. I don't even know what days it is generally. So I appreciate you coming back to the show.
I appreciate your invite.
So how have you been? Let's catch up. So, okay.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff I got to tell you first. First of all, I'm going to start with this. So if you want to find Jason Smith, you can go to fitinmidlife.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And at Fit in Midlife on Instagram. Is that the same title on TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. It's all the
everywhere it's the same.
It's the same.
And I feel weird saying that because it should be the same everywhere, but like my YouTube channel has 2 E's instead of 1 E. So I will let you know this also. There was a long time where I had 2 Jasons in my life. I am down to 1 Jason, and that is you. I know.
What happened?
So, sometimes nothing. So I don't have high blood pressure at all. But I do get spikes in my blood pressure, like pretty egregious spikes, which, so we're trying to figure that out because they don't have me on high blood pressure medication because my blood pressure, like on average, it's like 110/70 or what most doctors would say perfect. But then I'll get the spike of 160/90, which, most doctors are like, actually, that's still not that. I mean, that's bad. You don't want it to stay there, but they're like, if it just spikes, because my doctors have said, if it's that way for an hour, why would we treat you for 24 hours when you're only having an issue for an hour?
And then you figured out this was when you had a conversation with the other Jason, yeah?
Yeah. So he was on the podcast. I didn't release the last one. We did 2 hours. And at the end, there was some back and forth, which we used to do. I don't feel up to doing that anymore. Afterwards, I just said that at this point, we'll reassess our relationship somewhere down the line. But, that is a good thing. Sometimes you have to say no to people, regardless of. I mean, I love Jason. He is a great person. If someone was going to ask for a favor, ask it of Jason, not me. Either Jason. I'm sure you would be the same way. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in my current, I had told you earlier, I am at, let me look at a calendar. On Tuesday, in 2 days from now, I will be at 22 weeks past post-stroke. So not even 6 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have no concept of time anymore. I have no short-term memory, which stinks. So I don't know. I decided that 1 Jason was more than enough. I had a lot of, I hate having to tell my wife what Jason we're talking to. She'll be like, "Oh, is it this Jason you're talking?" And I know that's not a good accent. I know it's horrible. And I actually was working on that, Jason. And I wasn't working on it for you. I was working on it for my wife. So it is what it is. Let's see. What else was I going? So I changed. So I had a couple of different Instagram. I had one for this show, The Stone Genius. I have one for the longest one night stand with Bobby and Ro. I have that one. And then I had another one, which I had changed for the dog that I was getting. But as I was going through this, found out I wasn't ready for a dog, so I had to return the dog. And so I was like, I don't need an Instagram page that says Indy of Overland. That was going to be her name. So I was like, what could I take? And I decided I'll just check and see if this is open, because at some point, Jason, not the other Jason, may want to change. So I now have the Instagram profile Fit in Old Life. So if you get to that age where you think that you're old and you feel like, I will sell it to you. Or, I mean, yes, the price will decrease as I get older and stuff, but I have that. I'm holding that for you, Jason.
This reminds me of the guy who went and bought the domain name 21st Century Fox.
Yeah. So there was a lot of people that I heard that someone bought like Visa and MasterCard and like just those names. And then, those companies are going to pay like 25 grand is probably nothing. I don't know what they paid for them, but yeah. So it was funny. I was like, I'm just going to see if this, and it said it's the little check mark showed up. So I was like, take it. So
well done, Ray.
well, yeah. So I'm sure that people will get us confused. I'm going to see what else I have in here. I had okay. Here's a question I have for you. I think it was today's post. I have no concept of time. It was about working out and getting fit, and it had a picture of you that I've seen before. It's a full-length picture of you, and you're walking, and it's of your left side. You're like walking, and you're and you're like, this is what I want. I have a question for you. Who took that picture of you just walking?
Well, I was playing football with my son, so probably my wife.
Okay, because I was just like, what? Because I couldn't tell what you're doing in that picture. I was like, is he out for a walk? But you're like wearing slacks also.
It must have been some kind of family event, and I was kicking a football around with my son, and that's where the picture comes from.
Okay, I was
I was about 45 when that was taken, and well, as you can see from the picture, in a completely different state physically than and mentally than what I am now.
Well, and I want to talk about, so a lot of what I want to talk about is just the mental aspect of everything. I have found that now that I've had this head injury, head event, let's call it that, a stroke. Sometimes I wouldn't understand why do you feel that way? Why do you have that perception or something? And sometimes the brain just does stuff to you. So when you saw that, so you said you were 45, but you didn't really make your turnaround until you were 49. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So did you, during that time of 45, when that picture was taken, to 49, when you made a change, were you aware of that? Were you like, I need to make a change, and you just hadn't, or were you just, you weren't even aware?
No, I was in, I was kind of in denial. So, I knew I wasn't as fit as I wanted to be. But I didn't think I was that bad. I didn't think there was any urgent need to do anything. But, from 45 to 49, there was, because I continued being less active. My diet was terrible. I was, the effects of drinking alcohol regularly, it all kind of took its toll on me physically and mentally. And it was when after I turned 49, I kind of went from denial. I don't know it's kind of like that grief model. So I was in denial. Then I went into a kind of realization that this is a problem, right. With the help of my doctors, thankfully. And then I went into anger, real anger at myself for allowing this to happen, and to, and then I went into.
Let me ask you real quick about the anger. So when so you were angry at so that's one thing that is hard for me, even without I have never been out of weight. Even when I weighed 35 pounds heavier than I do right now, everyone said I look like a linebacker in football. I mean, I was working out all the time. Then I had to have knee replacement. So because I honestly think I had bulked up too quick. I added like 30 pounds in about 6 months of muscle, or 9 months, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then I had a lot of knee surgeries. but within 2 years, I had to have it replaced. And in
Knowing
fact, right
you though, Ray,
now, what's that?
none of this muscle would have been in your legs, would
Very nice. Very
it?
nice. But it is funny because I have to have knee replacement done again. No,
Wow.
I don't think that. So I never really, I don't know. I remember in high school and college playing basketball, and we would have to do plyometric, and there was dumb shit
Yeah.
back in the. Fuck. I remember and I still see people that have worn them every once in a while. The tennis shoes where the heels elevated, like you're on
Oh
your
yeah.
tiptoes, the
Yeah.
plyometric shoes.
Yeah.
And like there was a guy in high school that wore those, and I think he increased his vertical leap from like 16 inches to 17 inches. And I would do that in metric, but I don't know what that is. So let's just say he went from 16 centimeters to 17 centimeters. It
Yeah.
wasn't much. But I don't know why. I mean, I was just always active. I turned myself as sinewy. I was like really, I mean, even when I met Bobby, I mean, I was taught, I guess that would be the way. I mean, because I never worked out. I always thought that working out would affect my basketball. But I mean, I was running sprints for 3 hours a day playing basketball. And I just would go and go and go and go. So I never was like out of shape. And so I've never had to deal. And when I lost weight, I made the mistake. I took a medicine that made me lose like 25 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds in like 3 weeks, which is really helpful if you're trying to lose weight. So, and
Mhm.
then I've kept it off, but I never went through that. So when you say you were angry at yourself, is it
Yeah.
just that you let yourself get to that position? Were you even
Yeah.
aware during the journey that you were getting to that position? Or was it just kind of
Uh,
like,
it was a series of step changes, I would say. So from denial, everything in the garden is rosy and wonderful, through to literally the doctor saying, "We need to talk. You got high blood pressure. You got high cholesterol. You got fatty liver. Um, you've got onset type 2 diabetes." That was a step change moment, because it was kind of, whoa, I thought I
right?
was fine. I'm just like every other guy I know. And so that was the first step change. And then I had obviously concern at that point, and then that concern turned into anger. That was another step change. So it just kind of happened, and I literally would shout at myself in the bathroom mirror, and in an empty house. But "Oh, how could you do this to yourself, etc., etc." And then
Can
I
I
went
stop you
from
right there because you mentioned mirrors and this, like, did you avoid mirrors before that? And I know this
no,
sounds like a weird
no,
question. Like, one of the things I've always said, like, if you take a picture of me today and you
yeah,
look back and because I've done selfies for my wife since there's been cell phone, you can look a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years, and beside, like, if you don't look at my face, the age and the crow feet and stuff like that, my body looks, I have never gone through that because I would do that because I remember when I added all that weight. We saw Bobby's grandmother, Frances, who we didn't see that often. I'd see her maybe once or twice a year. And it was funny because when I saw her, I was not fat. I was just a lot bigger than what I was, but she called me fat. And I was
right,
like, but it was because she didn't see that. Last time she saw me, I was skinny. And so sometimes when you're adding weight to yourself, you don't see that. And because
mm,
I've never gone through that, I also think that's a hard thing for me. Like when I talk about weight, it's hard for people to take me seriously because I haven't had challenges. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot about it's everything God did. I do very little right now. I do watch what I eat, but I don't eat the meals you eat. I mean, I'm still eating hot dogs and stuff. I'm just eating hot dogs in moderation, I guess. So did you, wow, this is a long question that I could have made very short. Did you avoid mirrors and pictures at one point? Or did
no,
you
no,
even think about it?
I just didn't see what the reflection was actually showing. And this comes back to the denial aspects of it. So,
Right.
I guess you could argue that I carried it quite well as well, for whatever reason, I don't know. But, I never thought, I don't know whether you have a cartoon called Peppa Pig in the United States, but,
I do
um,
not know.
it's a kids program, and there's the father is called Daddy Pig, and his got a big stomach, and my son used to call me Daddy Pig, and even that just went over my head. I was in.
Did you ask your son, is that why he was,
I used
or,
to just laugh and assume that he was joking, and it wasn't actually true. That was my form of denial. But then, when I kind of got the news from the doctors, etc., and then I kind of had this realization that actually, you have let yourself go. You're in a pretty bad place, and that led to me being in a pretty bad place mentally as well. And then it kind of changed into acceptance. So it was kind of not in a good way. It was, well, this is it. This is as good as it gets. Maybe I've got, you know, another 20 years and a bit more if I'm lucky. So, maybe I'll just get into my 70s and whatever. And then, diabetes or a heart attack or whatever is gonna get me. And I was like that for a good 8 months or so. And then every now and again, I'd try and do something about it, but my heart wasn't in it. And I just thought it was a waste of time. But then, as I've talked about this before. I was inspired by a post on Instagram, and I just said, no, that's it. I'm not living this life anymore. I'm going to change my life. And I sat down and I wrote down, a list of things what that new life would entail, and I just started doing it, from that day. And and from that point, so I went from that kind of acceptance of, I do love that from the film actually, as good as it gets kind of message. It's a kind of, I don't know, it's an acceptance of, this is it for me type of thing, and that is really not a good place to be. And so to move to no, it's not. I can be in a much better place, and I just had, I suppose, faith that if I did the stuff, I would make some changes, and that happened. And that's and it's just been a kind of upward trajectory from there, thankfully.
So as you're continuing to progress through this, so let's see how I can tactfully put this. Maybe not untactfully.
You just go for it, right?
Okay. So where do you want, so before my stroke, that's all I can tell. So more than 6 months ago, my wife, who's a big fan of yours, she asked me, would you do the things that Jason does to look like him? And without hesitation, I said no. And then I laughed a lot. I said, hell no. I don't have the palate to eat like you do, unfortunately. I wish I did. I just don't, for whatever reason. It's a mental thing. I wish that I was kind of hoping that the stroke would allow me to try new foods. I will tell you, it has not. I still have the same feeling when I eat certain things like fruits and vegetables. But also you're working out. So one thing I noticed from a recent post, I think within the last week, is your shoulders. And even I can see your biceps now. Right. So the veins, but like the striations of the muscles when you're working out. I mean, you've gone from just fit. I mean, you could compete in bodybuilding competitions right now. I have no doubt in that. I had a friend that used to compete, won a lot of like big awards and stuff. He was featured, and you could do, and that was back in his early 20s, but like you literally could do. So is there an end game? I mean, because now to me, from an outsider, it looks like it's that you're fit, but you're like, so what's next for Jason? I guess that's when is there an end? Do you want to be like, how fit? Like, are you continuing to increase and push yourself? Do you think there'll ever be I'm doing a compound question, I apologize. Or are you doing like, what is your goal with your fitness in the journey? Because I do know from 50, and maybe it's just me, but from 55 to 57, and granted I had a stroke in there too, it seemed like I aged a lot during that time. In fact, it's one reason I don't want to grow a beard back. I used to have a full like wizard length beard, and this is all vanity.
I could picture that on you, Ray.
But I am
I'll
terrified of
start calling you Gandalf.
I'll send it to you. So it's yeah, so I had it for so long because I had always told my wife if I went one day without a complete stranger telling me how nice it was, I would shave it. And I went like 459 days. And then I finally just shaved it. I was like, I'm not gonna go a day without anyone saying something about this. But it was, and I will tell you, there's some weird things about a beard that I didn't know. Like the smells will like to linger in your beard quite long. So watch what you eat. Um, but I'm afraid of what I'll look like underneath that beard when I show, because I feel like I've aged a lot. And if you look at a lot of people that, they can age a lot. So what is your fitness? Because I don't think you're going to age. I apologize to tell you that, to break you into that, but I don't think that you're going to age. But do you have a goal?
Not a specific goal, no. I mean, I have a goal to always be the best that I can be, and
Right.
so that would lead me to keep pushing harder, to keep going further, to keep trying to go faster. Depending on what it is. So that is my drive, I suppose. I just want to keep improving. There's no specific goal of events or competing in any kind of sports or anything like that.
But it's nice to know that you could.
Well, it is, frankly, it
Yeah.
really is. It's about a year ago, I was with some dads from my son's football team. We put a team together, and you know, guess who was the one doing all the running around? It was me
Right.
because I was the only one who could. But yeah, it's and it is nice to be in that position. But I don't have any specific goals. I think my goals now are more about encouraging and hopefully inspiring other people to make similar kind of changes, because you know and we've talked about this before, Ro, in terms of the question your wife asks. What I do is not extreme in any way, shape, or form. I eat things that I enjoy eating. I'm sure that the things that I eat and enjoy would be things that you eat and enjoy. I just cut out all the stuff that surrounded all of that. All of the saturated fats, the processed stuff, the alcohol, obviously, which was a big one for me. Um, that's all I did, and it's not like I spend hours a day in a gym training. I limit my workouts deliberately to 45 minutes. My strength workouts. The only time that changes is if I'm running and I'm enjoying the run, and I just want to keep going a bit further, or see something different and take a different route. And sometimes I have to say I do get lost, which normally adds a few miles on. But it's all. There is nothing that I do that I don't enjoy. There is
Hold
nothing.
on. I'm gonna stop right there. But did you always enjoy it?
I didn't realize that I enjoyed it. That's the difference,
So
because
I'm
I
gonna leave
wasn't
it.
doing it. I wasn't going out for runs. I wasn't lifting weights. I wasn't swimming or whatever. I wasn't eating healthily. I had this I had this mindset that you would call them fries, but like chicken Kievs with fries or whatever, which is all kind of fatty processed foods. You know that's all fine, but and I don't miss that, or a pizza. Um, that's all stuff that I do not miss at all, and I kind of realize now that yeah, okay, maybe I enjoyed the taste, but I never enjoyed the feeling it always gave me afterwards. Whereas what I eat now, is enjoyable. I eat well, in my opinion, and I eat stuff that I like, and
Right.
I'm sure that it's stuff that everybody else would like too.
You're giving me a lot of credit for things that I would or would not like. I feel so bad for my wife. I mean, because we'll go out to eat. I'm like, let's go somewhere you want. She's like, well, you may not find something you like. I will find something. or I won't. It's all right. So yeah, I've looked at food that you've done before, and some of the things like I have heard how wonderful ice baths can be. And you recently made a post where you went and took an ice bath. Is
I
that
did.
correct?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. There is no way in hell. I mean, literally, if they're like, you can get in this ice bath or be eaten by a polar bear, I would be like, well, this is going to suck, but I guess I'm getting eaten by the polar bear. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that maybe I could do it now because I can only feel half my body. So I can't feel heat or cold on this half.
Yeah.
So maybe it'd only feel half as cold. So if yeah, I don't know. So
Well, look, but why do I do that? So I don't have an ice bath at home or anything like that, but I will turn the shower cold at the end of my shower and stand under it for a minute or two. I just find
like
it.
how cold? Like the coldest you
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
right down. Yeah, right down to the bottom.
Oh
Um,
man, I can't even do that. And that's probably like what 50 or 60 degrees maybe. I mean, it is that
Probably.
water's not that cold. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, it's not. It's I don't know, maybe about in centigrade, which is what we have to work in
right.
over here.
Uh-huh.
It's probably about 5 to 7 degrees, something like that. I
Okay.
would say.
Only in the 40s, probably somewhere in there. Yeah. Okay. So I still wouldn't. I would. I've tried that. Like I've turned it down a
It's
little.
invigorating, Ro. Honestly, you kind of. This is very different to what I was just talking about because the idea of doing that. I totally agree with what you're saying. It's the last thing I'm going to do. But you give it a try. You read that there's benefits to it, and that you're going to feel great after you've done it, and you do. You really do. You feel tingly, for want of a better expression.
Tingly and a half my
Tingly.
body.
There you
Okay,
go.
so here's the deal.
Anybody said tingly on your podcast before?
Since since you're across the pond from me, even though I've heard from other Englanders that is not a real saying that you guys say over there. When you and I officially meet, whether I come there, you come here, we meet, whatever, we will go find a place that does ice baths, and I will do an ice bath, and I will
Yeah,
try.
we'll go get in together.
Oh my gosh. I get it. I mean, I hear the wonderful things. I have such inflammation and arthritis and everything. I really think it would be good.
It
But
would
yeah,
be for certain. But irrespective of any ailments or anything like that, just being well, look, I'll be absolutely honest about it. The first 10 seconds is horrific. It is horrible. But then you kind of you calm down, you become accustomed to it, and then you feel like you can keep going for longer, and then you reach a point where you realize you can't keep going for much longer because it's really getting inside and into your bones now, the coldness, and you want to get out. But that's normally at least a minute or so into the experience. It's not like you're sitting in there for 10 minutes. That's important to realize. You're in there for a minute or two, that's all. But when you get out, firstly, you're very grateful to get out. You feel great because
right.
you're out of that freezing cold environment. But secondly, after about half an hour, you just feel alive. You really do feel alive.
Yeah,
Your
because you
body.
almost froze to death in a vat of water. That's why you feel alive. You don't feel alive
Yeah,
because of what you did.
it's a
Let
good
me
job I'm not a
I'll
salesman,
tell
isn't
you
it?
this. I had mentioned the polar bear
Ice baths
earlier.
for us.
If you survive a polar bear attack, a half an hour after that, you're gonna feel alive too. So what you're saying,
That's a good point.
that is, so wherever you went to have your ice bath there, you should tell them that should be their new like jingle, like we'll make you feel like you just got attacked by a polar bear. So yeah,
Yeah,
I see that, and
I haven't
you know,
sold it then.
it was funny once. I have a chair that I will take into the shower sometimes because I just like to soak, and I don't like
Yeah.
to soak in a bathtub, but I love the hot water running over me. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god!" It was what I'm saying freezing, but it was 60 degrees or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I thought, of course, I wanted to blame someone, not myself. So I blamed my wife. why did you start the laundry or the dishwasher? I was taking a shower. And she's like, I didn't. She goes, you've been in there for 45 minutes. I had fallen asleep. And so all the hot water, and I didn't wake up until it got cold enough. But that gives me an idea. They always say if you put a frog, and I don't know why you would do this, don't put a frog in a like a boiling water, it will jump out of it's already boiling, but it'll stay in there. So I'm thinking if I get in a bathtub and you just cool it down to like 45 degrees, I should be fine.
Yeah.
I just
You
won't
wouldn't even
know.
notice, right?
Yeah. I won't know until there's a certain amount of shrinkage that happens there. Yeah. So I'm still the one that will go to the pool like in July here, and I'll dip my toe in. I'll be like, nope, too cold. And everyone else is like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, it's long.
It's a good job you don't live in England, then.
Oh, yeah. I think I actually looked. I think on one of yours, you were out for a run. And for some reason, I think that I looked at the temperature because I was like, it cannot be that warm there. And I was like, it is not that warm there. I mean, for me to be outside.
Yeah.
Like, here's another thing. So I don't know if you had this movie over there. It may have been banned in England. It was called American Werewolf in London.
Oh,
because it couldn't just been a werewolf in London. It had to be an American werewolf in London.
A bad moon rising.
Exactly. So do you ever, when you're out for like a walk or a jog, do you ever pretend like you're being chased by a werewolf through the bog?
Right. This is
faster to get your heart going.
This is what I've just started doing, actually. So this is very topical, Rose. So absolutely, yeah. There's a training technique called REHIT, REHIT, which stands for reduced exertion, high intensity training. Firstly, there is nothing reduced about the exertion. I can tell you that. Okay, but the whole premise of REHIT training is that you have a warm up, you do a 20-second sprint as though you are running for your life, like you are being chased by that werewolf, or across the Yorkshire moors, or a lion in Africa. And then you slow down, you stop, you have a couple of minutes recovery, and then you repeat it. That's the whole thing with REHIT. Then you cool down and you're done. And according to lots of science, that is as beneficial as traditional cardiovascular training that is much longer in time and duration, and will expand your lung capacity and increase your VO2 max faster than other forms of training. So I thought, let's give this a go. I tell you, it absolutely drains. 20 seconds, that's all it is. And you are going hell for leather. The idea of it is that you actually invoke that fight or flight response, that stress response in the brain, so that you get those hormones flowing through your body. And if you do that, when my heart rate's right up there, and kind of 165, 170, something like that. And in the space of 20 seconds, that's a hell of a peak. And yeah, the only thing is I don't do it twice because I think that seems a little too easy.
I'm not going to run into two werewolves on the same day.
Well, no, I do it 4 or 5 times. It's like, bring them on.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. But so to go back to your question, yeah, absolutely. When I'm running now, this is a specific training approach I've taken up, and I am finding it very beneficial. Is this REHIT training and just doing this 20-second, kind of run for your life burst.
Right. I used to do that when it was funny because every once in a while, even like during high school, I would like be with my friends. We'd walk out a movie and we'd be parked way far away. And I'm like, someone's chasing us. And I would just take off. And a lot of times they would follow, like, what the fuck's going on? And we would just sprint and I'd get to the car. And this is when you had keys for cars. I know, but now you can just get close to it. But you're like trying to get because I always like, if I'm being chased sometime, I want to know that I can actually do this.
Yeah, good practice.
which was really funny because once my friends cut on, I'd be like, "We're being chased." I'd take off, and they would just stand there. I was always hoping that one day we were being chased, and they would all get beaten up except for me because I was the guy that got away.
That makes you the guy who cried wolf there.
Well, I would rather be cry wolf than be eaten by a wolf.
Well,
That's all I
true.
have to say. You know what? Now I'm going to watch American Werewolf in London again. And the
It's a
whole
good
time I
film.
watch it this afternoon or whenever, I'm going to say, man, these are bad graphics. This is.
I remember the nurse was quite nice.
I don't remember. I think that would have come out in like 81 or 82. So I would have been like,
Yeah, it would have been back then. Yeah, absolutely.
13 or 14. And so we had to sneak into the mall that right behind my house. It had a theater. And we would always do we'd go in the back the back hallway where people could exit behind the theater instead of going out the main way. And as soon as people came out, we'd be around the corner. They would turn and go to their left to go to the parking lot. We'd be to the right. So
Yeah.
as soon as the last person, we'd grab the door and we'd go in. We'd stay behind the screen until everyone's seated, and then we'd come out and sit. So, but that was one of the ones. So I think more likely the guy I went with, Tony, his grandmother would have killed both of us. Like she was not into like scare. Like in 1977, granted we were only like 10. I think Grease came out in 77. He wasn't allowed to see Grease, the movie Grease, because it's too risque.
Well, it's a bit racy.
Yeah. When you have 30-year-olds in high school, yeah, it's a bit racy. Hey, so now that we're talking about running, I'm going to ask you something that was pointed out to me a few days ago. It's very weird because sometimes you don't notice, kind of like anything. You don't really, you'll talk about something and you're like, oh, I don't even notice that about myself, what I'm doing. And I had said something to my friend Tim Lytell about having a go bag. Do you know what a go bag is?
A go bag? No.
Yeah. Okay. So that must be something uniquely American. So when civilization collapses, you have a go bag. That means if you need to leave,
Okay.
So you have it. And I ask Tim, I go, do you have a go bag? And he's like, yeah. And I live in the Midwest. He lives in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. And he goes, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh, what's in your go bag? And he's like, oh, well, I have food and I have clothes and I have bottled water and like all these things. And I was like, that is a very sensible go bag. And I'm like, because it's funny because then when we talked about it, everything in my go bag is to either prevent myself from being killed or to kill others. And so I have food, and I'm like, well, I have lights, like motion sensor lights that have magnets or stickers, so I can put them anywhere. So if I need to see someone coming down a path or something, it's going to go off. I keep Rice Krispie treats because if you're in a dark room, especially Cocoa Krispies, the chocolate covered ones, because you can't see them in the dark, you spread them all over the floor so that you can hear someone walking across them.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I guess we just live in different worlds. So you do not, I thought maybe you had a go bag because you're near the woods and you have werewolves, and I've seen the 28 Days Later movie. There's a zombie apocalypse that may or may not be happening in Britain at certain points. So you don't have a go bag.
I think there's more zombies than werewolves, but not zombies in the Day of the Dead sense.
No, I will also tell you this, and I will just mention I probably am not the only person in my family picturing this. I'm sure my wife is picturing this too. But when you said you sometimes ran like you were being chased by a lion, I pictured you dressed like Gerard Butler in Gladiator. Like you got this big broadsword and you're running, and you just him. Just so you know, yeah. So
I might try that. I'm thinking more Mowgli there.
Yeah. So, So, okay. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. Man, I also want to tell you, and I hope I have said this to you before, and if I haven't, I apologize. I think that I've said this before. I love doing the show because I get to meet people and talk to people I want to talk to. You were gracious enough a year plus ago to accept a message from someone you had no idea who they were, and they said, "Hey, I got this strange marijuana program. You want to be on it?" And I want to tell you, I appreciate it. I love talking to you every time. I will tell you that and I'll read this to everyone now that we're 40 minutes into the program. I'm sure this exists whether they want to hear. And I told you this. One of the things that I'm going through post-stroke is a lot of not issues, just some things. And I had written this in my margin. I am sad all the time for no reason. And it's just weird because I just feel this melancholy. And I don't know if it's because I think a lot of my time issues is because I can't drive. So I can't go anywhere. So the only time I know what day of the week it is Fridays and Sundays. Because Friday I have physical therapy and Sundays I have church. Other than that, I wouldn't know what day of the week it is. So I just give a blank look. And so I have been going through a lot of things. I did not want to do this show. I mean, I was up. I know that you're 6 hours ahead. I was up like at 5 a.m. this morning. So before noon your time. And I was getting ready to text you just saying I don't feel like doing a show. And so I am appreciative of you being who you are, to have answered that DM a long time ago, to have taken the time.
Are you glad you did it, Ira?
I mean, I am too, because I do think that there are a lot of people that you have. Two of the top 4 shows that I've done out of 375. You're a voice that people like to listen to. You're someone that when they go to your website, they can actually find help. They can reach out to you. I often forget to mention, they can reach out to you if they want to find one-on-one coaching, correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, and what you're doing for people, it's weird because when you tell someone that is not used to working out that at some point, and I say that typically it's about 3 weeks of working out at a fairly regular pace, that you get into that rhythm where then you don't, I don't want to work out. It's just part of your day.
Yeah.
Just like waking up, taking a shower, brushing your teeth is part of your day.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that. They're like, no, I don't think I would like the cold water. I think if I did 3 weeks of cold baths, whatever, like once a week, twice a week, I think I would be like, I may not be like, oh, I can't wait, but I may just be like, this is part of my fucking Friday. And that's exactly how I was saying.
Freezy Friday.
Yeah. And if the place where you get your cold bath plunges, if they want to use that one too, they can use any of my taglines. Like, get in the fucking water. That's another good one. That would, because I would pay my money. I would stand there. I don't know what the time length is. Say, how long are you in there?
I was in there for, I think I was in that time. I was in for a minute.
Okay. So I would go, I would pay my money and I would stare at the cold water for a minute and that'd be like, okay, let's go. I would need someone to scream at me to get in there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They normally do. That can't happen.
I just am very appreciative that you've taken the time, because I think people do know it is hard. But when I started doing push-ups, which I actually missed. So during the pandemic, I started doing the 100 push-ups a day.
Yeah.
And when I started, I found out just how weak I was. Like that whole basketball, not working on the upper body, I'll throw my shot off. Well, when you can't press yourself up off the floor more than 10 times in a row, and if you looked at me and everything, you'd be like, he's in good shape. But I couldn't. So like when I started doing that 100 push-ups a day, I think I probably was more honestly doing like 5 sets of 20. Right. And then all of a sudden it's 4 sets of 25. And then I was doing 3 sets of 33 and a 34. And then all of a sudden it was 2 sets of 50. And then I literally was able to, okay, I'm going to do 100 push-ups. And I would just sit down and do 100 push-ups. Yeah.
But that is really important for people to realize, because it's not like, everybody starts somewhere. Nobody becomes like a champion golfer, driver, business person, whatever it might be, overnight. It takes practice and practice and practice, and it takes It takes persistence. The thing with the body is that it will move and adapt really, really quickly in comparison to trying to become, the winner of next week's Masters or whatever in the
Right.
golf. It's going to, as you say, after that 3 week period, you will have made significant progress. And it's not just the formation of the habit through doing it repetitively and persistently over a period of time. It's that you're starting to get motivated because you're starting to feel the effect that it's having on you. And you're starting to see some of those effects when you look in the mirror or maybe jump on the scales. And so, you know, the hardest part of all of this is actually just starting. That is always the hardest part. Once you start, the momentum will gather, the motivation will build, the results will start to happen, and all of a sudden, you're in this circle of supportive circle of doing the work, getting the results, feeling great, feeling motivated, doing the work, getting the results, and that's kind of what I was trying to describe earlier on as to where I am now. That's how I describe my, you know, my current approach. But I'm always trying to challenge myself to do more or do better or to go faster, whatever it might be. And it actually is simple, but it's not easy because it's only what's up here in the head that stops you from doing it. Notwithstanding,
I'm writing
injury.
this down because I always think that someone's going to say something on a show that should eventually become. Now I already forgot. You said it's not easy, but it's worth it. Is that what you said?
I said it's simple, but it's not easy.
It's simple, but not easy. That should be on a shirt somewhere. That should be. You should. I've taken it now, so you're going to have to pay me for the rights.
TM, see ya, little C.
Yeah, but
Copyright.
I mean, and you also get to that point where sometimes it's, man, my body looks good, or you've had a picture where you're holding your trousers out,
Yeah,
like what your trousers you and
yeah,
like sometimes you see that and you're like, wow, that, because I remember it was less of what I saw, because even doing push-ups, it wasn't so much. I could notice some definition like in my shoulders and arm, but it wasn't about that. It was about having the ability to push myself off
yeah,
the ground if I need to.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
I'm in
all the
physical
functional benefit.
I'm in physical therapy with a lot of people that, whatever, if they had a stroke, there's all the different and everything, but I look at them and one of their biggest challenges is their whatever happened to them before that accident event, that they weren't able to do these things beforehand. So
Sure.
they're and you weren't like, I know how hard it was when I was trying to get up right after my stroke. I didn't have strength on my right side either for a while. I had and it was really hard to push myself up and do that. And I know a lot of people can't. And if you can't do it yourself, then you have to rely on someone else to do that.
Exactly.
Wipe your bottom, which, you
Yeah,
know, you
yeah,
know, that's a reason we have a bidet.
yeah.
So it's at least less wifey that you need to do, I guess. I don't think that's a term, but it is now. Less wifey. That should also be a t-shirt for some reason. But one of the big things is, I think it was like 3.5 years. So it was sometime last year. I started thinking about it. And from the time that I started, February of 2020 to that point, and I didn't have an exact count because I'd had like a thumb injury where I had to do some, I didn't like work out for like, I think like 12 weeks or something like that. I couldn't do push-ups. And then sometimes I would do a lot more than 100 push-ups. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
when I would smoke and get high, you literally are just like, you're just doing push-ups and you're like, okay, 170. I mean, it's like you don't even know. And that's the bad thing about when I work out, when I smoke, is that it's like weird is stuff. But at like
Tripping.
3.5 years, if I just did the math, 100 or push-ups a day, that at about 3.5 years, you're going to clear 100 push-ups a day. At about 3.5 years, you'll clear 100,000 push-ups, which literally, because I did them, I didn't really think, oh, that wasn't that big a deal. But that number, like if someone came to you and said, in 3 years, you're going to have done 100,000 push-ups starting today, and people would say, no one, I mean, that number would confuse them, confound them. And so sometimes even just not the visual aspects, but just the mental, man, I did 100,000 fucking push-ups, and how many push-ups did you do today? I mean, and that's the weird thing too, is sometimes you get confident. And when I say this to people, like when you go to the gym, you're surrounded by people that are working probably towards a common goal. They've made the effort to be there. They've done, there's a lot of things that they're doing. And once you get around that, someone asked me why I was so cocky once. And I go, well, I'm not cocky. I'm just not used to hanging around with losers. And what I meant was winners have winners mentality. If you're a winner and you're talking about your wins, it's not boasting to another winner. Like if
Sure.
you and I are talking about physical fitness, like, oh, I did this and do that, it's not cocky. It's not anything else. But if we're talking to, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. In the gym environment, people, if you've got somebody going for a PB, whatever on whatever it is, a squat, a press, whatever, all those people that are around him or her are supporting him. They want him or her to do that, to get to achieve their PB. They're spotting, they're encouraging, and whatever. There's no kind of jealousy or anything like that.
No, and I think the thing
whatsoever.
that's really cool about that is they don't give a shit whether your personal best is bench pressing 100 pounds.
Yeah.
They don't care. That is your personal best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that means that next time, or after you've been comfortable with 100 pounds, you're going to be at 125 or whatever that weight is. And that's what you find at a gym, because you're pushing yourself to exceed where you are currently.
Yeah.
And
as is everyone. And that's the commonality of the environment. And it creates a nice supportive environment, particularly amongst the regulars. That's really important. And to a greater or lesser degree, it's true of everybody. Even the new people that have just walked in the door for the first time, feeling nervous and whatever else. They'll get into it if they keep going.
And I had seen a video of someone that was working out, and they were talking about how they saw someone at the gym and they went up just on their way out, because I think that they had some physical condition, but the fact that they were pushing through, that they were there and doing that, and you see that because of the community, like you said, people will come out to you. They'll watch you. If it's a personal best, because you get that hype man, you get that person standing over your barbell while you're trying, and they're screaming at you.
Absolutely.
You do one more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you get that and you go to someone else in the gym and you're just like, I just did 10 reps at 225. I've never done more than 8. That's a person, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Then they're excited about that for you too, which I love.
Totally.
Yeah. And that's what I like about, that's one thing that caught me about you, not just where you were and where you came from, where you started on your journey and where you're currently at as you continue your journey, but that you're making it accessible to others, your videos. I'm not on TikTok much at all. Evidently you're on it. I mean, I had signed into for TikTok for the first time in a long time. And like my first 20 videos were all yours, which my wife was very pleased about. She's like, what are you looking at, girls? And I'm like, no, Jason. She's like, really? And I don't know why I just made my wife the church lady from the old Saturday Night Live skits, but somehow I did. Okay, let's see. I'm going to also mention this too. So the very first time you were on the program, it looked like there was a little whole window behind you, and it looked like your wife may have put you in an attic, like you may have been in timeout for being in trouble or something. So I like the artwork. The pictures are amazing.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Being a photographer as well, I love headshots, portraits. That and squirrels are my favorites. And I've been noticing those pictures behind you. So those are beautiful.
Yeah.
So I enjoy your background now, because I remember that first time we talked, I think a lot longer than what we thought we were, because I remember seeing it get dark. I'm like watching the sun go down in your background. So, and I do like your workout facilities too, as well. So,
Oh,
when you're
thank you.
working out at home, and as
Yeah.
always, I love the dogs.
Well, yeah. Likewise.
Okay. Anything
Useless.
big anything big you got coming up for
Well, I'm about
that
to
you want
launch. I've
to?
been working my backside off, building a new app. So an app that will help you get your nutrition on point, get your workouts in, all designed based on how I train and how I train the clients that I work with. Um, so that should be coming out somewhere between Easter and the 1st of May.
That's
So
awesome.
that's
So do you have because I know that I've talked to you in the past that you do most of your own shooting, like your
mhm.
videos and things like that. So do you have the technical ability are you creating this app yourself? Or are you
I'm
working with
working with
someone?
a partner with it.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Now,
they know what they're doing with the tech. I know what I'm doing with the nutrition and the workouts.
right. That's always good to have someone like that. So
Yeah,
I always
absolutely.
joke here in the United States that people are like, "Man, I really wish I had a boat." I go, "No, you don't." I go, "You wish you had a friend that had a boat." Because the only thing that better than owning a boat is having a friend that has a
Yeah,
boat.
there's a lot of work which comes with a boat. I understand.
Yeah. So on this app, is this app going to be for all ages and both
This-
sexes, or is it
yeah,
going?
well, definitely both sexes. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's but it's still it still fits in midlife. So look, if a 20-year-old person wants to do it, they will get some big benefits. But the workouts are, in fact, probably bigger benefits than I shouldn't say that. Um, it's designed for 40-year-olds plus, I guess, particularly with the workouts. That's the key difference in terms of how to work out and and how to perform the exercises, how to structure the workouts together. So, and I do all of that for you. So you just kind of get, you're going to get a choice of workouts to go through, and the only thing you have to do is do them.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
it's good
that's
to
one of
say,
the hardest things.
you talked about age and you talked about the male female, but it's also got things like are you working out at home, at a gym, a bit of both, so you can tailor it all, tailor everything for that as well. So yeah, I'm really looking for. It's been hard work, and I'm really looking forward to. I start testing it tomorrow, and then it should be launching a couple of weeks after that.
That's awesome. That See, and that's what's so cool is that you continue to push the edges of it's not just a workout. It's not just I develop a whole program that people can see and be involved in. Is
Yeah,
there a community aspect with it
yeah, there
as
will
well?
be. Yeah, there will be a
See, that's
community
awesome
aspect
too.
to it as well. So absolutely, people can talk to one another and talk to me. So yeah, that'll be a key feature of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's very important because if you don't have someone pushing and challenge you sometimes, or maybe not even pushing and challenging, just keeping you, I guess, on point,
Yeah,
making sure. So,
but
no,
also we were just talking about the gym community, and if we can recreate that, online, and people that are using the app are coming together and supporting one another and encouraging one another, then that's a great place to be.
have you, and maybe you already do this, and I apologize if I don't know, have you ever thought about doing anything live? Just like a live workout or like, hey, I'm going to
Yeah,
do, for all newbies. If you're a newbie and you don't know who to ask and you've watched my channel in the past or whatever, I'm doing a live 10-minute this. You mentioned stretching. That's a great one. Even when I played sports, I never stretched and
mm,
I never really pulled any muscles of any it wasn't like I pulled a hamstring, was gone down for 4 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that. So stretching is a good one because as you get old, I do a lot of stretching right now. I'm not excited. I have to have my knee replacement replaced
right.
in my right knee. So it's weird because my left knee, I can bend it all the way back. I could be like in a squat, like a catcher or whatever in baseball.
Yeah.
But my right knee hasn't bent past like 95 degrees since my surgery. I don't know. I actually think I had it done so long ago. Now I like your knees are made and everything. They measure it and all this. Well, back in the day, they're like, they probably just said, "Oh, he's 6'5", he needs an extra large."
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
never felt like it did well. So I'm excited because my doctor says I'll be 25, and he says I'll be able to like crouch like that again
Fantastic.
because one of the things I've noticed that with that limited mobility on my right side, the leg doesn't bend all the way. Tying your shoes, there's a reason that Velcro was invented, and there's a reason old people wear Velcro shoes. And I'm
Yes.
not going to say whether this guy owns 2 pairs of Velcro shoes, but I do own 2 pairs of Velcro shoes. So, and those and boots with zippers, I have become very fond of. Yes. Okay. Man, it is always so good to reach out to you and watch what you do, to know that you're out there, even for me. And that's why also when you're creating this app and you're creating this community, I hope you hear it enough, you personally, that it's nice that you are out there doing what you do and why you do it.
Yeah. Thanks, Ray. I mean, it is, and it's all I want to do is help people to feel what I felt. That's just it's priceless, and yeah, and money can't buy it. You have to earn it. You have to work for it, and yeah, I just want to help people do that.
Speaking of which, because I do last minute sideways notes here, I wrote this down. Food is the most abused anxiety drug. Fasting is the most forgotten cure. Exercise is the most unused antidepressant.
Mm.
I don't know where I saw that somewhere, and I wrote it down. But I mean, I agree with all those. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot, all
I
those make sense.
totally agree.
Yeah.
And look, you've mentioned it a couple of times, but if whatever you can do exercise wise, just try and do something, even if it's just a walk or whatever. I don't know, just it'll make you feel better, Ray. It really will. And I know what it's like to be in that state where, no matter what, and for no particular reason, you just feel down.
Yeah.
I've been there, and it will stay like that until you start doing something that makes you feel different. And
Yeah.
for me, that if I was in that position, that was for just to get out amongst the trees and the birds and the woods and whatever, and that would really help me.
Yeah. And I agree with that. So, I have told people when they've asked about working out, I go, "We'll set a ceiling and a floor." And they go, "I don't even know what that means." I go, "Your ceiling is if you had unlimited time and you could have your perfect workout. Every piece of equipment you want to use is being unused and has been wiped down. Everything is there for
Totally
you. That's
lost.
your ceiling. Your floor is shit's out of control today. What is your bare minimum?" For me, back in the day, it was 100 push-ups, because I knew that at the end, when I could lay down and just do 100 push-ups, I could do that in like 4 or 5 minutes. It was not that big a deal for me.
Yeah.
And I was done. And then there were times where I wanted to do it. I almost said legs. But there are times that, and so ceiling and floor, and making sure that you get that done, because it's still holding you accountable. Even if that's 25 push-ups, you had to get in that mindset that you had to get down on the floor, get in that plank position, and do
That's
those.
discipline, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's it's teaching yourself discipline, that no matter what, you will do something, and that there's a minimum requirement for that something. And that's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very good place to be, particularly if you're struggling with motivation. Perhaps you're only just starting out, or maybe 4 or 5 weeks in or something, or if you're in a position where life's a bit chaotic and you don't know where you're going to be or whatever because of your job or whatever other situation that drives that. So just have if the worst comes to the worst, this is what I'm going to do. Because take your point, push-ups, you can do those anyway. You could even do them on an aeroplane in the aisle.
I mean, yeah. And that's what, because it's still that routine. It's still keeping you accountable, even to yourself.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
weird thing is,
And you know what? But the great thing about that is you think, yes, I did it. Despite all this shit, I did it.
Yeah.
And that's a really great place to be, because mentally you are creating a dopamine type of release, because you're feeling good about yourself, because yes, you did it. You said it, you would, and you did.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't want to, you didn't have the time, you felt tired, whatever else, the day's been really, really crap, and it's the last thing that you wanted to do. You still did it, and you
Yeah.
feel good for that.
And here's one thing that as my wife and as I started being able to work out, do some light workouts and stuff now post stroke, as Bobby's working out and things, that a lot of times we thought it was easier to do it in the evening. I mean, otherwise she leaves at 6:30 in the morning. I don't know what that is on metric time, but she leaves early in the mornings. So she leaves early in the
One
morning.
thing we
So
have in common still.
okay. So although your time did change last week or a
It
week
did,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
So
We
let's,
used to be aligned, but Obama changed that.
uh,
Not
um,
our fault.
but what I was finding out, that when she would get home, she wouldn't always get home at the same time. And so sometimes we would try to work out before dinner. Well, then if she didn't get home till 7, that would push dinner till like 8. That wasn't great. And so we're finding it very difficult
Yeah,
to do.
very real problems.
And so trying to find, if you do it first thing in the morning, which my doctor has told me that for whatever reason, when I get up in the morning, that's when my blood pressure is highest, right? When I get
Mhm.
up. And
Yep.
that's when I used to work. I would do my first workout of the day then.
Yeah.
Well, now what I've told Bobby, because it's been difficult to be consistent at night. And I don't do anything. I've had a stroke. I stay at home. So I
Yeah.
literally can work out anytime. So what I've told her, because I want us both to be accountable, I get up, and while she's doing her workout in the morning, I'll do my stretching,
Yeah. Good
because
idea.
I need to do my stretching. And then once my body's awake, she may be off of work, then I can do my lifting at
Yeah.
that point. And
Yeah.
so being able to do that, but I also know that if I've only done my stretching, that I'm okay with that at this point,
Sure.
because,
You've
and
done
I'll do
something.
my push-ups later or whatever. But, it's finding that very minimum that you can do, because it's a box that you checked off. I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah, and there is great pride in that. And like I say, when you look back,
Yeah.
when you start losing weight, trimming down, I mean, and it's not always about losing weight.
No.
There, like, there are people that I think their weight are fine, and if they just change, like, tone it up, it's more about being tone and being able to
It's body
push yourself.
composition.
Yeah,
It's what you're made of. It's how much of you is fat, how much of you is muscle, how much of you is bone. That's it.
yeah,
And you could go up in weight, reduce fat, increase muscle, and you'd look and feel great.
yeah,
You really would.
yeah. It can be, yeah. It's with me, I've never had an issue with my weight, so it's hard. Actually, I take that back. I've had issues with my weight being on the low end, which I think can be just as challenging, because I was 166 kilogram wise, 71 kilos at that point, I think is
Yeah.
correct. Um, and I lost 5 kilos when I was in the hospital. It was weird, because I knew exactly when they came in to weigh me. I go, "Do you want it in pounds or kilos?" She goes, "You've been in a bed for a week. How do you know?" I'm like, "I can look at my body. I can." So here's the thing: BMI. Do you do much with BMI? Do you care about that number, you personally?
Not for me personally. I do think it's an important number. I
Okay.
think that, and actually, that's not quite true, because I do keep my BMI right on that upper limit. So I'm generally around 24.8, 24.9, and 25 is the
Right.
borderline when you go from normal to overweight.
Right.
So yeah, I suppose it is something that I do keep an eye on. Um, but
So
we
are
all
you
know.
so are you comfortable there? So
Oh, very.
I'm typically about, so here's the thing. When I worked with a guy, and his doctor, so he told me his doctor told him this. He is 50 pounds overweight.
Right.
And when I looked at his height and what he told me his weight, his doctor was right. I mean, on the
Yeah,
BMI
yeah,
scale,
yeah,
he was well in the overweight category there.
yeah.
Um, the weird thing though, because it goes what 18.5 to 24.9 is
That's right.
considered
Yeah, yeah. That's
acceptable or
normal.
whatever.
Normal.
For
Yeah,
me, it's 6'5". For
yeah,
me to be at an acceptable rate, that's 49 pounds I have to
yeah,
play with.
yeah.
Do you know how many jean sizes I would go through in 49 pounds? But that's
Yeah,
that's what's
absolutely.
crazy is
Yeah,
that literally I could be my and and this is why so with my body at 156, when I got down to 156 and I was in the hospital, I started eating everything. I was just my wife would bring me Shake Shack, which if you don't know what it is, it's just meat upon meat upon meat. And then there's like sandwich buns, but more meat and French fries. And then as soon as I ate that, I would call down to the cafeteria and I'd order dinner. I mean, and then, once I get up to like right now, I'm 171, 172 is what I have listed as my ideal weight, which kind of puts me on the lower side. And it's weird because I've been at I've been at 200 pounds before. The most I've ever weighed is 208, which actually puts me just outside of my ideal weight. But then I just wasn't hungry. I mean, I
mm,
literally could go 2 or 3 days and I wasn't hungry. But when I was on the end, and it's weird how, like, my body's in the middle. I think my weight's in the middle. So I average 2 meals a day right now. And that's one thing I've had to keep track of, which is weird because a lot of people are trying to move their weight down. I'm trying to make sure my weight doesn't go down.
yeah,
And
sure,
yeah,
sure.
but that's what
But
yeah,
BMI, for me, is something which is, yeah, it's an indication, but it's not the be all and end all.
right.
You have to take other factors into account, particularly body composition, and particularly within body composition from a health perspective, your amount of visceral fat. That's the stuff that does the real damage. And I tell you, mine was bloody high.
And what was that fat called again?
Visceral fat. It's the fat that is around your organs, so it doesn't sit beneath the skin. It's actually in the body. It sits around the kidney, the liver, and all of that, and it causes all kinds of critical diseases.
It was interesting. Someone once said that you're not a body with a skeleton inside, you're a skeleton with a body on the outside. And and I know it's been on Instagram, someone took x-rays, and I may have sent it to you at some point, an x-ray of a fit person and the x-ray of like a very, very, very obese person. In the x-rays, it was like a full body x-ray, skeleton, same size. Crazy. Just insane. Yeah. I look at that and I'm just like, I don't get it. So anywho, man, love you, Jason. Sorry. I don't know how that translates in metric. So, but you are an amazing human being. Your story is amazing. The journey that you're on, I mean, I wish I got Surrey County Magazine because I don't think they'll send it all the way to me over here. But like knowing that you do that, I mean, I love being a voyeur to your life as well. So, like I don't know what your journey was like before you met me. I'm sure it's taken off since you met me. So I guess you're welcome. But I've loved watching the journey since you and I met, and I'm glad that I've been not a part of your journey, but a peripheral part of it by having you on the podcast. Because I do hear from people. I have neighbors that listen to the podcast, and they mention sometimes it's the accent, most of the time it's the content, but it's wonderful to have met you. It's wonderful to talk to you, and you're quite a gentleman. Thank you very much. Hold on, did I just mute something? I just lost your audio. I just lost your audio. Or is it my audio? Huh. Let's see. Oh, it'd be the end of the show. Let's see. If I'm I don't know what happened to the audio. I could have hit something. Hold on. Let's see. Can I hear you through here, Jason? I still can't hear you. Can you hear me, Jason? You can?
Hear me now?
There we go. Yes.
The mic ran out of battery. How embarrassing.
That's right. Well, that tells you that it's about time to finish.
And there's me all about longevity.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Yeah,
look,
that'll be.
I just replied to your very lovely comments, wrote
Oh,
with a single word which you didn't hear, which was ditto, because you know I love our relationship. Actually, I love having these chats. It's great. I think we cover a wide spectrum of stuff. You know, practical stuff, deep stuff, funny stuff. It's
and I will
great.
tell you that's what's going to make your app, your program so successful because you do care about that stuff. You do notice that stuff. You the way that you convey information, not everyone can do. I mean, there are a lot of other people out there trying to influence in the fitness sphere, and they're not as engaging as you are. They don't, it's short, it's sweet. You deliver a message, you're like, go on. That's what a workout should be like. Let's have a good, impactful message and then get on about the rest of our day. So I know it's going to be successful. I can't wait to see it. So where will people be able to find this app once? Because you said that hopefully by May Day it may be available.
Yeah, around about May Day, and subject to the testing. So
Right.
once that testing is pretty much done, I will announce it all over my social media for obvious reasons.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. So that is going to be awesome, and I look forward to seeing that myself. I was going to say I can't wait till we meet because I feel we will someday. But now that I've made that ice bath commitment, I'm second guessing that. So
I think we ought to meet in this little remote pub in North Yorkshire called the Slaughtered Lamb.
It sounds like something Charlene would want to take us to. Right before she took us to her murder trailer.
Well, it's the pub from American Werewolf in London.
Oh, it is.
Right at the start.
I will tell you, I've been watching a lot of old movies lately because I have zero to do. My wife will walk in and she'll look at me watch. I was watching a movie called The Arrival, not the good one that came out with some girl like 10 years ago. This was the Charlie Sheen 1996 alien invasion movie it is very 90s. Let's just say she walked in and she watched me. I mean, I almost thought she would have rather me been watching some weird fetish porn than watching that. I mean, she looked at me and she's like, I'm like, yeah, Charlie Sheen. She's like, I know. And I'm like, okay. And we will meet sometime, maybe not at that pub. I am going to. So here's the thing too, that my wife and I should be traveling to Europe hopefully later this year. If our oldest is over there and we don't have a dog to keep us home, our plan is to come over there. And
cool.
I can't think of a better stop. And, it's weird because I do have a lot of people that I've talked to from in and around London or in England. So it'd give me a chance not just to meet you, but meet like Harry Bodley Scott, a young man who is from the International High IQ Society, but is an amazing musician. He can be found. A high school girl I went to school. How far are you from Cambridge?
It's the other side of London. So Cambridge is north, we're south.
So that doesn't help me. Like, so now I know it's on the other side of the town.
It's about 2-hour drive, let's say.
Okay, 2 hours. Okay. Well, and the only reason I say that is when my wife and I first got together, we moved to her hometown, Wichita, Kansas, so that she could finish up college. And I was a manager at Best Buy at the time. And we had someone that came in, and these were when big screens were the big box TVs. And so someone wanted to buy a big screen. It was the last one we had. And they go, well, can we pay for it today, so it's ours, but we'll pick it up tomorrow on our way home. And I'm new to Wichita and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. A lot of people do that. They come in from the country and everything. And so I'm talking to blah, 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 and we're ringing up. I go, where are you from? And they go, we're from Kingman. I'm like, okay. I don't know where Kingman is. I'm thinking Western Kingman was 20 minutes outside of the town. And they were saying that they were making a day trip. They were staying overnight. So I didn't know how big London was, but a high school friend of mine, Candace, who we're going to talk tomorrow, she is over near Cambridge and all that. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to ask her. We were talking about being surrounded by people whose fitness and is the goal, and how that can enhance you. I'm going to ask her, being around Cambridge and being around all those smarty McSmarty pants, whether that, like, is the TV show Jeopardy easier now? Simple questions like that. So it is funny because I feel like the people in Cambridge watch regular. So here in America, I don't know if they show it over there. They have Jeopardy. Are you familiar with that show?
I've only seen the American version of it. I don't think we ever had it as a UK version.
Okay. So they have Jeopardy, which I love. I love Jeopardy. I do very well. My problem, if I was ever on the show, is everything would be a daily double. It could be like ancient time to take medicine. It could be like, it wouldn't matter. And I would be like, bet it all. But they have Celebrity Jeopardy here in the United States, kind of like Celebrity Big Brother. I'm going to say that because I think a lot of people are familiar with Celebrity Big Brother. So they have Celebrity Jeopardy. In the last couple of years, I asked my wife, I go, do you think these questions are hard? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And so this season on Celebrity Jeopardy, they made the distinction that there is Celebrity Jeopardy and Civilian Jeopardy. So less smart, they call Celebrity. Civilian Jeopardy, they call for the regular. So I just wonder if her being in Cambridge, whether she's some of that. She was always smart. So it's not, that's why she's probably at Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, so there's lots of people I get to see. And yes. Is that a real pub? Because if it is,
I'm sure it is now.
And if it's not, another stream of revenue. You could do that. And listen, I am all about ideas. There's no wonder I'm a genius. So what you do, you start that pub again. Okay.
Yeah.
But you make the parking lot like a half a kilometer away.
Yeah.
And then everyone has to run from their cars to the thing. And there'll be howling. You can even have some actors dress up like werewolves if there are no real werewolves available. Okay. Jason, thank you so much for always.
Thank you, Ro.
Finish off your weekend.
Thank you so much. And I really love these chats. Let's keep them going.
And I will tell you this. I'm also glad that we can still have them. There are a few. I don't want this to sound bad, but there are certain people that if I would have just died and never said, it'd be like a show ending with no conclusion. Let's wrap it up already. If you're going to cancel the show, I wouldn't have wanted that. I mean, that would have sucked. Oh, Ro just disappeared. So I'm glad that we get to have these chats. I really am. I think that you're a wonderful person. I too enjoy these chats. Every time we talk, it's just like you said. We were talking before we started, and I was like, is there anything usual? And you did pay me a compliment, even if you didn't know you were paying it to me. You said, we just have normal chats. We just start talking. We talk. And that's one of the cool things that friends can do.
Yeah. Totally.
Regardless of the distance, regardless of the time, they can continue to pick up. And I appreciate that. I am very glad, even though we've never met, to be able to call you my friend. So thank you, Jason.
Ditto, Ro.
Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. For everyone else, this is Jason Smith. He's in the UK. You can find him on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok at Fit in Midlife. And you can also go to fitinmidlife.com. You can also go to Fit in Old Life. There's nothing there yet, but he's going to buy that someday. It may be another 20 minutes or 20 years. This may be a long investment, but one day you're going to call up and hey, Ro, do you still have that Instagram account? And I don't know why that's what you sound like older in life. Like you became less cool and more American, but you did. Jason, thank you.
Thank you, Ro.
Okay. Everyone else, you guys have been listening to the Stone Genius podcast. I got to find out where the buttons are to push it. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.